Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 42 of the Break-Thru Active podcast. As always, I'm with Mitch. How are you?
Good afternoon, mate. Doing really well.
What do you think of the hoodie?
Oh yeah, I haven't picked up my one yet. Comfy.
Yes, and they're available for purchase all over the world.
It's getting pretty cold in the mornings. I've been rocking the long pants and two jumpers.
I need to visit Rebel Sport this week because I just can't wear clothes consecutive winters. I just lose them. I don't know. I just don't know where they are. Don't know where they are. Can't find them.
Throwing your pants away, mate.
Yeah. All right, Mitch. What are we going to talk about today? As always, we try and keep this short and sweet, and more importantly, just easily digestible information that you have a few takeaways instantly. So what are we talking about?
Yeah, I made a poll last night on Facebook in our members groups and asked a few different questions, and the most popular one was about fitness wearables. So what you wear on your wrist, whether it be a band or a watch. There are many different variations and brands that do them. So we just wanted to discuss a few of the main points today about fitness wearables. Do we need them? What to look for? What does the data show? And really just the overall importance of them. So if just before we start, it's the main thing that I guess a lot of people maybe don't realise is that they've just become so popular in the last couple of years. I remember it was probably back when we first started doing the boot camp, 6-7 years ago, and no one really had them. Yeah. And now you sort of flat out to find someone who doesn't either have one or has had one in the past.
Well, the first I heard was just a regular Fitbit. They were really thin, and they literally had a step counter on them, and they didn't even attach to your phone. And then I didn't even know for a long period of time that your phone itself, Android or Apple, actually tracks steps in the Heart app.
Yeah. I think I told you that.
Yeah, you did. And then from there, Garmin's really gotten popular. And then there's just a wide range of Samsung watches, and the Fitbits are really impressive now, Apple watches. And then you got the higher end elite ones like Whoop or the Oura Ring. But I guess where we should start is first thing, like, why are we wearing them?
Yeah, well, that was going to be my first question to everyone. And I think there's definitely a distinction between people who some people wear them who don't exercise at all. They don't go to a gym, they don't work out, they don't do anything, but yet they still wear the Apple Watch or the Fitbit or the Garmin. And then you've got other people, like obviously who we come in contact with every day, who are avid gym goers or boot campers or whatever it may be, and they wear them as well. So I think they are definitely more important for people who do take their health and fitness a little more seriously. Otherwise, it pretty much just becomes a glorified step counter, which, like you mentioned, as long as you've got your phone on you, then it's it does track that anyway. But I guess the main point which I want to get across today, which we'll get into a little bit more, is they're not really a necessity for you to improve your health and fitness. And you may disagree with that, but I think a lot of the time people feel as though they need to track calories, track their steps, and keep an eye on everything in that regard to be able to lose weight or get healthier. And I just don't think it's that black and white.
Well, this might be an unpopular opinion. I actually think they've affected people for the worst. And the number one reason why is, you just mentioned tracking your calories. Well, part of that process is most of the good watches give you a reading of your calorie expenditure.
Yeah.
So your watch would tell you that you burn 3,500 calories for the day or X amount of calories for the session. And like, it's been studied and proven time and time again that all of these devices drastically overestimate what you burn. So I remember it very clearly we were running boot camps back in Kurri. We had a member come to you and said, "Oh my God, Mitch, I burned X amount today. I can't believe it." And he went home and he ate that much in food.
Okay, KJ?
It was KJ. And like, it just wasn't the case. And I've seen that time and time again. And it's a catch-22 because people only exercise to burn those calories to eat more food.
Yeah.
That's a quick way to end up with an overuse injury.
Yeah, well, I think they have been proven now that a lot of especially the earlier models, I mean, they have improved a lot, but they're just really inaccurate.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's marketing genius or if they did it on purpose or what it was, but people want to see themselves burning a lot of calories. So if they've got a certain brand or a certain watch that's telling them that they're burning 800 calories in a 40-minute workout, they're going to think this is great. They're going to tell their friends about the watch, and they might end up buying the watch as well. And we know that burning 800 calories in a 40-minute workout is near impossible.
Yeah.
So the accuracy of a lot of them, leaves a lot to the imagination, and you can't take it as truth. And then, like you just mentioned as well, I think it can begin to, I guess, manifest an unhealthy relationship with food and with exercise. Then all of a sudden people are exercising just so they can eat a little bit more. They'll go in, they'll say, okay, great, I've burnt my 500 calories in the workout. And then they go home and just eat 500 calories worth of shit.
Yeah.
And that's how they view exercise, that they view it as just a means to an end of being able to eat more. And I'm the first to say that I like that I have a high expenditure of calories because it does enable me to eat more. But I think if you are looking at that number and then looking at the number on the back of the pack and say, okay, well, now I can eat this amount of calories more because I've done this, then you're viewing it the wrong way.
It's simple as this. There's more fitness technology available in 2021 than ever before, and obesity rates are still on the rise. So they're not actually helping. And
well, that was my first point.
I'm guilty of it myself. I've worked out. I've seen, I'm like, ooh, that's pretty good. And like, I know better. And just, I want to eat more food, and I justify it logically with the watch. And I know better.
Yeah.
And I can't help it. And people that don't know better, it is just a ticket to, and of course we exercise to, like, part of it is you can eat more food, but it's just that really unhealthy relationship with calories in, calories out based off a watch. And if you wore the same watch on your right hand and your left hand, they give you drastically different results.
Yeah, the accuracy is always going to be in question. And I don't think it should be, you should be using those numbers as gospel. And I think a better way to do it is get a bit of an idea of what a normal amount of food is you eat. And if you're staying steady with your weight, then that's a good chance to, a good way to look at it. We're not going to get into that too much today because we could speak forever about that. But I think in terms of, especially for me, who I write all the workouts for the gym, I don't want workouts to only be viewed as good if you are burning a shit ton of calories.
Yeah.
If that was all we wanted out of a session, I'd have you skipping for 40 minutes because that's been proven to be the highest calorie burner per minute per hour.
And every member would end up with plantar fasciitis.
Well, exactly. There's no variety. You're not building any muscle. You're not getting good range of motion. All you're doing is just a repetitive movement that is going to burn a lot of calories, but at what cost? And how often are you going to want to come in and do that? And how motivated are you going to be? But I think it also just puts a bit of a dampener on the need for stretching and recovery and things like that, because some people almost view it as a waste of time if you're doing something slower and stretching and cooling down because you're not burning calories. So I think that all comes back to the watch and looking at the amount of calories burned. And I'm all for, I definitely think every workout you should come in and get a good sweat, but it doesn't have to be pedal to the metal for the whole workout for you to get a good session out of it.
No, and like, if you were to write down the 10 best exercises in the world, just our opinion, I think you'd find a lunge in there, a squat, a deadlift, maybe even a PVC pass-through, just some mobility work, and none of them burn a great deal of calories. No. However, doing them on a regular basis will allow you to run, jog, walk, ride, skip, row for a long period of time.
Exactly. And everything we do, we're making sure that people are working out safely, and we want to build longevity amongst our members so they can work out regularly for a long period of time. It's no good coming in, flogging yourself every day for a couple of weeks or a couple of months and then not being able to do it anymore. Your calories burned per day is going to drastically go down when you can't do anything except sit on the lounge all day and all weekend. So we always look big picture.
So we've covered calories. There's two other things that they do, and one of them is track steps. So we'll discuss that now, and then I think we'll finish off with sleep. So in regards to the step counting, I really do like them. I think it's a really good tool on your days off, on your weekends, just to make sure that you're getting enough steps. And we try and stay around that 8 to 10,000 mark, and that's just maybe 2 half-hour walks out in the sun. That's just walking around your house. And for me, I use that just as a tool, like as a snapshot, like, have I gotten off the couch today?
Yeah, I think it's a great way to encourage people to be more active. And again, we got to remember that the people who we're in contact with are coming to the gym and working out a few times a week, whereas a lot of people who buy these products, they're not doing anything. So if it gets people from literally off the couch doing nothing to going on a couple of half-hour walks a few times a week, or averaging 10,000 steps every day for a week, then that's fantastic. And I think obviously for people like us and our members, it is important as well on those off days, or just to give you a bit of an idea of how active you are. But I think it's a great way to get people to be a little more active who probably wouldn't ever join a gym.
Yeah.
And in the other school of thought with it as well, is it can be a great way to introduce people into being healthier and fitter. They get a watch, they start to walk more, they start to lose a little bit of weight, they start to eat a little bit better, and then from there they want to take the next step and they want to look to join a gym, or they want to look to progress their fitness a little bit further. So I think it's great for that.
Now nothing is great without having any con, and the cons between the watches, sometimes they can be fairly inaccurate also. I think they're a lot more accurate than the calorie expenditure, but for gym goers, if I'm on a rower or an assault bike, my steps rack up pretty fast. And
shaking your wrists around.
Yeah, and a larger part of, I guess, that watch's calorie expenditure is based on your step count. So sometimes your step count be drastically over-exaggerated from hanging your clothes on the line, putting your arm up and down. So I think the same way with the calorie expenditure and the step count, it's just a quick snapshot. It is one measurement of 100 things that you can do to whether I'm feeling good or am I doing the right thing. And the other thing too is like, it goes back to calorie expenditure again. I remember also back at Kari, we were doing some side leg raises on the ground, and I had a member take her wrist off her watch, put it on her ankle, so that would.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know this story.
I told her, I was fuming, and that tracked her movement, and to the point where like a Pilates class or yoga class, it's like she viewed that as a waste of time because it wasn't adding to her step count. In the same way, we can get obsessive over counting calories, we can get obsessive over our step count, and people could walk themselves into, once again, plantar fasciitis, Achilles pain, that kind of stuff. So it's okay. Like, I think it's good for people to look at. And even if you don't want to like go out and buy a watch, look at your phone. And that's like, your phone's probably a little bit less accurate than a watch, but it's not too far off the mark.
It's probably almost more accurate, to be honest, because it's not sitting on your wrist the whole day and is subject to this. It's sitting in your pocket.
A good example, about 10 minutes on the roll for me, it was about 1,500 steps. Like, obviously, like my phone was different to my watch, and that's how what it was.
Yeah. So they're not, but I think for the most part they are fairly accurate with the steps. But I think the question you got to ask yourself is what are you trying to get your steps up for? Is it just to be a little bit healthier? Is it so you get a bit more movement in? Is it because you're trying to lose weight? Because if you're trying to lose weight from walking more, and you're walking up and down your hallway at 10 o'clock at night to try and get your 10,000 steps in, or you could just have half a piece of toast less to counter the calories, then what are you doing it for? So I think the purpose of why you are trying to increase your steps and monitor your steps is important. And if it is just to be generally healthy, because they do recommend 10,000 steps a day is good for anybody, and you're trying to get around that mark, then that's great. But if you are obsessing over it, like anything, like same as calories or anything else in life, if you are obsessing over that number, then you're probably viewing the need for steps a little bit wrong.
And if you're already going to the gym 4 times a week, you're probably not the person that's going to obsess over their step count. But we have seen it before where like they just go bananas on their step count, and they're just constantly walking everywhere. And they'll walk down to McDonald's and they'll go to cheeseburger and they'll walk home. And they're more worried about the steps in the cheeseburger. So just like everything, it's just It's just don't take it too seriously.
Even like with the step count, I'm pretty sure it links up with MyFitnessPal now. So it kind of will factor that into the amount of calories you need, and then that's sort of quite dangerous for, obviously, if you are having a big day on your feet, then you go and eat a little bit more. And again, it's good to know. I think it can be interesting when you get to the end of your day and you think, oh shit, I've done 15,000 steps today. I didn't feel like I was that busy, but it doesn't give you a license to eat a bunch of shit just because you've done that.
Yeah, what you said then is exactly like I think why they're great. It's just a quick awareness of, hey, have I been active today or have I not been? And then just finding why you haven't been. Yeah. The last thing.
Sorry, just before you go on, and I think if someone was to look at it over a long period of time and they were averaging 3,000 steps a day for a month, it's probably safe to say they need to make some sort of lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Whether it be that they start to need to go for a walk in their lunch break, or they need to try and park a little bit further away if they're walking into work, or go for an extra long walk on the weekend, or whatever it may be, because that's obviously way too low. So it could signify the need for a change, but anything short of that, I think it's just more of an awareness tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing, which I believe is their best feature, which is their ability to track sleep. And the sleep is really, really, really accurate. I was surprised by my Whoop band and the Garmin just how accurate it is. Like from the minute I fall asleep to the minute I wake up, it seems to be pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. And so I've got the Whoop band now, which Jamie has as well. And some of you guys might not have heard of that, but that is more specialized for people wanting to track sleep and recovery and stress. And I found that to be really accurate.
Well, a great example is the Whoop band and the Oura rings. They don't give you a step count, which I think is a good indication that they're more focused on the sleep side of things.
Yeah. And very accurate. And I think even Brody had told me this before with her, I think she had Fitbit or maybe Apple Watch. And she said, like, sometimes she's sitting on the lounge watching TV and it registers as sleep just because she's just so relaxed. So there are some of them obviously more accurate than others, but I've had this one for over 18 months now, going on 2 years. And it's really made made me improve my sleep habits a lot. I know it's a bit of a running joke now that I'm in bed so early and whatever else, but that wasn't always the case. Definitely more so since I got this. Knowing that I have to get up 4:15, 4 or 5 mornings a week, I need to be in bed by 8:30. Otherwise, I'm just not going to get enough sleep. And for someone like myself who is quite active and likes to train, then I need to prioritize sleep. Otherwise, it's just not going to lend itself to the lifestyle I have. So just like the step counts, I think anything that you track, you do tend to improve. And I think sleep's a big part of that. If you're looking at your sleep and you think, shit, I'm only getting 5 hours sleep a night, there's a very, very good chance that you're going to go to bed earlier and prioritize it a little bit more, and then that'll improve. And we're not going to get into the importance of sleep today, but I think everyone can agree that, most of us could probably improve how much sleep we get and improve our sleep habits.
Yeah, especially it gives you a really accurate reading of how long you're sleeping for and the quality of your sleep. So first things first, the duration of your sleep is the most important thing. And then 50% of that sleep can come from like a deep and REM cycle. So there's 3 cycles, light, deep, and REM. If 50% of it's in those last 2, it's shown to have really great benefits on lots of things in regards to your recovery, your satiety from food, your mood, energy, all that kind of stuff. And it's something that you would never ever, like the difference between, steps and calories. You can have a rough idea of, hey, I walked for an hour today, or I ate this much food, but it's very hard to tell the quality of your sleep unless you wake up feeling amazing. And I can't say that happens that often when you get up at 4:15.
Yeah. And I think the quality of your sleep is important as well, because a lot of the time you'll have people who are, they say I go to bed at 9 and I don't get up to 6. I'm getting 9 hours sleep. Well, that's just not the case. Like, I know even for me, if I'm in bed for 8 hours, I'll very rarely get more than 7 hours of sleep. It takes me a little bit of time to get to sleep. I'm waking up through the night. maybe wake up, go to the toilet. So it ends up being maybe 6.5, which is still okay. But for people who maybe are short on energy or not recovering well or getting sick or whatever it may be, and they're thinking, well, I'm sleeping enough, I'm in bed 9 hours a night, and then they get themselves a good watch and it shows that they're only getting 5 hours, then that's where the problem is. And then you're looking at ways to improve your sleep by, avoiding screen time before you go to bed and not eating too close to bedtime, and limiting how much water intake you have before you go to bed so you don't have to get up through the night and go to the toilet. So it really can just start asking some extra questions in regards to your sleep, because research has shown that when you're sleeping well and you're getting good quality sleep, everything else improves. You mentioned like just the way you function, your appetite, your mood, your productivity at work, your relationships, and just how you are with people are all going to be better when you're well rested and you've had a good night's rest.
There's a great quote. It was just like, if sleep was a performance-enhancing drug, it would be banned from every sport.
Yeah,
because it
I've
is
heard that one.
It is the be-all and end-all. It really is, and that's why I think those fitness wearables, the sleep component, are really essential if you do struggle with your sleep or you wish to improve your sleep. But let's wrap it up, mate. What are your key takeaways?
Yeah, well, I think like even I wrote a few notes before this, and one of them was that the best part about them is tracking sleep. Like I think the step count and the calories burned and heart rate and all those things are very interesting. Well, I find them interesting, bit nerdy, but I like to know what my resting heart rate is and what my max heart rate was, in a session and everything associated with that. But I think the most important part of it is your sleep. So I think if people are using it to improve their sleep, and they are using it to track their sleep and to try to make improvements with that, and I think it's great. I think if you are using it and looking at your watch every 3 minutes during a workout at the gym, and looking at it every 5 minutes when you're on a walk, and checking your step count 20 times a day, then you're probably reading a little bit too much into information that's not that important. So again, I think it's good to be aware of what your heart rate is, and how many calories you roughly burn in a workout, and how many calories you roughly burn in a day, how many steps you'll normally do on a usual day for your work. But anything beyond that, I don't think is as important as people may think. But the sleep component of it is great.
Yeah, and I guess the whole point of this discussion is, I think if one of our, I guess, I wouldn't even say call it a pet peeve, I guess, it's just when people judge a session based on calories. I think it really just...
Oh, it's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, it's missing the point of actual training, because what you get from your training far exceeds your calorie expenditure. If you're doing a front foot elevated reverse lunge, that is doing so many things in terms of like your strong glute. We're training hip extension. We're learning to stabilize our pelvis. We're building strength in our quads, our tendons, all that type of stuff, which it just far exceeds, like, if we were to replace that with 30 seconds of skipping to burn 10 calories. And
if I wanted just to create a session every single time where you burn a huge amount of calories, I could do it. It's not that it's hard to do. That's probably the easiest way to train people. You just do some sort of continuous 45 minute session where it's all aerobic based.
Yeah, 5 minutes on the bike, 5 on the bike, 5 on the roll, 5 on the skier, 3 rounds, 45 minutes.
Go for a run in between.
Yeah, and finish off with a 200 burpees to bar.
Yeah. So it's there's no art in that, and it's not something that's beneficial. But like you mentioned as well, creating good movement patterns and working certain muscle groups, and working your core muscles, bracing your core, getting good mobility, and combine that with aerobic and anaerobic type of training. Having rest periods during your workout, so it mimics what how you play sport, things like that, which aren't going to lend itself to a huge amount of calories burned, but it is going to improve your training and improve your everything that you want to improve from training, your body composition, your strength, how you look, and your fitness and everything that goes with it.
And that's not even their fault. It's been sold by gyms that advertise fast, intense workouts that burn 4% more calories. And that's no different from a get-rich-quick scheme. Like, it's just, It's just not true. And if it is, you can maintain it for about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. So I guess maybe just to end it, if people were wanting to get one, what would be your recommendation?
I'd recommend a Garmin. They're like $150 from JB Hi-Fi. I think they look quite snazzy too, like a regular watch. And that does your sleep, your steps, and your calorie expenditure. And all the other things, your VO2 max, your HRV. If you wish to know them, get a Whoop or Oura Ring, but they are a bit more pricey.
I don't think I'll be taking any style tips from you, mate, but nevertheless. I think Apple watches are pretty good, but I think they're like going on $1,000 or they're like
Well,
600, 800.
yeah, I think their new thing is they can track your blood oxygen level, which I don't know what that does.
But they are quite pricey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you can go on TikTok on them, I think.
Yeah.
And TikTok.
Yeah, I really love the Whoop band I've got, but I think that's more for people who geek out a little bit more on numbers and the sleep and recovery side of things. If you're looking for just a basic one that is going to obviously track steps, track your heart rate, track your sleep, something you can wear that's fairly light and affordable, then and I think Garmin's quite good. I used to have one which worked just fine.
It's almost like computers. When you go to Apple, JB Hi-Fi, what are you doing? I'm going on the internet. Or like that, a $200 computer will do that, let alone a $3,000 Mac. And the same thing with the watches. Almost any watch you purchase, Fitbit, Garmin, at that lower price range, the 100 to 150, they're going to do the 3 things that you want.
Yeah, great.
Cool, let's wrap it up there, mate. Thanks for listening as always. We'll be back next week for episode 42.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one.